neon lights are bright on Broadway, on Broadway. They say there's always magic in the air on Broadway. But when you're walking down the street and you ain't had enough to eat, the glitter rubs right off and you're nowhere. Girls are something else on Broadway. On Broadway. Yeah. But looking at them just gives me the blues. On Broadway. 'Cause how you gonna take the time when all you got is one and dime? And one and dime won't even shine your shoes. On Broadway. They say that I won't last too long. On Broadway. They all say, but then before I blow they off, I can play this big guitar, and I will pretend I'm a star on Broadway. I will pretend I'm a star. I will pretend I'm a star. Yeah.
Tonight, the bright lights of Broadway shine on the rainy Meadowlands as the NCAA Championships take center stage. 3 weeks to go, 64 lined up for the casting call, but only 2 won leading roles, Syracuse and Kentucky. Well, the air is charged with the electricity of an opening night. When the curtain falls, a new national champion will be crowned, and you, my friend, have the orchestra seats front and center right here on CBS. Good evening, everybody. I'm Pat O'Brien. Welcome to a prelude to a championship. You know, Syracuse is seeking its first national championship. Kentucky is going for its 6th trophy, and the tip time is 9:22. And on this April Fool's night, the Wildcats are heavily favored, but the underdog Orangemen are looking to fool the experts, much like that Villanova Wildcat squad did on April 1st, 11 years ago today. That's it. Villanova has done it. No, what a night. To pull off an upset, Syracuse will look to forward John Wallace, who passed up the NBA to stay for his senior season. Wallace scored a game-high 21 points in the national semifinal to lead the Orangemen to a victory against Mississippi State Saturday. As for Kentucky, senior guard Tony Delk will lead the Wildcats charge. He posted 20 points against UMass on Saturday night. Joining us now is our own Dr. Quinn basketball man, Quinn Buckner. And you've got a trophy like this back at your old school. What's it like for a player?
Here you go, right? This moment is about the players. Do you believe you have a chance to win? And I'm Syracuse. I've got to believe if I can have my season-low turnovers as I did against Mississippi State, force Kentucky to shoot less than 40%, we got a chance to be the national champions. That's worth playing for.
Ready to go. It's fun, isn't it?
This is where time to go.
Time to go. The Orangemen are getting set for tonight's championship game. Their coach, Jim Boeheim, is seeking his first title. A short time ago, Andrea Joy spoke with him.
Coach, it seems your players are the only people who are not surprised they're playing in the championship game. As we get closer to game time, how would you describe their emotional state?
Same way it's been all the way through. They're not surprised, and they're really the only ones that matter. It doesn't matter what everybody else does. It's just the people that go out there with the sneakers on, and we're ready to play, and we're going to give a good account of ourselves tonight.
11 years ago, you actually picked Villanova to upset Georgetown. Do you sense that this team maybe has some of that Nova magic?
Well, that was a magical game, an unbelievable game, but that year Nova had played them close, so there was some indication that that could happen. But this team is ready to play. We know we're playing a great team. We know we have to play well, and we're ready for that.
All right, Coach, thanks so much. Good luck.
He's loose. On the other bench, Kentucky coach Rich Pitino is also looking for his first crown. Pitino has a special relationship with Boeheim. He worked with him as an assistant at Syracuse from 1976 to 78. Earlier this evening, Michelle Tafoya caught up with Pitino.
Your team comes in tonight heavily favored. What's the challenge for you as a coach tonight to keep this team grounded?
Well, we're playing a team that beat Kansas, beat Georgia, who we had 2 rough games with, beat Mississippi State, who we lost to. So we don't look at point spreads. We look at how good our opponent is, and this is a terrific opponent.
You're certainly aware that fans are not only expecting or waiting to see if Kentucky wins its championship, but to see if Rick Pitino, the coach, wins his first NCAA championship. How tough has it been to deal with those expectations?
Well, I don't worry about myself. I would like to live it up for the team, because this team is a beautiful group of young people who have worked very hard to get to this point, but it's not going to be expectations that win. It's going to be offensive and defensive execution.
Good luck, Coach. Thanks.
Thank you.
I don't know. You tried to read all kinds of things into those facial expressions. What do you see?
Well, I see one thing for sure. Rick Pitino has to win a national championship. That's what everybody tells him. His team feeds off of that kind of energy. You would be concerned. Jim Boeheim, on the other hand, no one expected him to be here, so he's relaxed, and he's got to translate that energy to his team.
All right, coming up, we'll speak with a pair of coaches who have taken their teams to championships. But tonight I'll be watching from the stands Duke coach Mike Krzyzewski and UCLA coach Jim Herrick when Prelude to a Championship continues. Yes, they did.
Utah and Wake Forest. Finally, UMass knocked out on Saturday in the national semifinals. For Syracuse out west, Montana State, and then Drexel in the second round. On to the regional, the thriller of this tournament so far, the win against Georgia, Kansas in the regional final, and Mississippi State on Saturday. So 62 games have been contested in this year's tournament. Only one game remains. Syracuse and Kentucky coming up next.
Sit forward, a 6'7" sophomore from Detroit, Michigan, number 30, Todd Bergen. For Kentucky at forward, a 6'4" junior from Louisville, Kentucky, number 23, Derek Anderson. For Syracuse at forward, a 6'8" senior from Rochester, New York, number 44, John Wallace. For Kentucky at forward, a 6'8" sophomore from Chicago, Illinois, number 24, Antoine Walker. For Syracuse at center, a 6'8" junior from White Plains, New York, number 4, Otis Hill. For Kentucky at forward, a 6'10" senior from Evansville, Indiana, number 40, Walter McCarty. For Syracuse at guard, a 6'7" junior from Woodland, New York, number 35, Jason Sapola. For Kentucky at guard, a 6'1" senior from Brownsville, Tennessee, number 00, Tony Delk. For Syracuse at guard, a 6'4" senior from Syracuse, New York, number 3, Lazarus Sims. And for Kentucky at guard, a 6'2" junior from Lebanon, Kentucky, number 25, Anthony Epps. And the coaches for Syracuse in his 20th season, Jim Boeheim. For Kentucky in his 7th season, Rick Pitino.
All right, Professor Packer, it's time for your game analysis. Things to watch in this championship game.
Boy, so many tonight, Jim, but we're going to lead off with a couple that get you the heat of the night, and that's the Kentucky press. Can Syracuse withstand this pressure from so many different angles? Sims is the key man here. The dazzling dozen. Jim, somebody's got to give a name to this Kentucky team. You know, they've had rough strunts, and they've had the Fab Five. I'm going to give them the dazzling dozen because that bench scoring in minutes is so important to Kentucky. The third thing coming up, the meat hook. I'm talking about Dimitri Hill, not Otis Hill. He had 29 points and 10 rebounds against this Kentucky team. They're very similar in style. Can Otis duplicate that performance? It's important inside. And loose as a goose. Now, that's the difference in the mental philosophy. philosophy of these two teams. Syracuse, extremely loose. Kentucky is likewise. But I think if Syracuse can stay in this game as long as possible, maybe that ultimate pressure will finally phase Kentucky. So far, they've shown no signs of it. But if this game is tight down the wire, believe me, they'll start thinking about it.
Rick Pitino's first championship game. Jim Boeheim's second. He was there in '87, only to fall to a Keith Smart shot at the buzzer.
I'll make the prediction, Jim. This will not be their last national championship game.
John Clockerty, Scott Thornley, David Libby draw the choice assignment.
Wallace has been getting every tip on people. Still got it.
Touched by Wallace, Kentucky ball.
Right off his foot. We had two beautifully officiated games Saturday. Let's hope these guys have as good a success. And there's the 2-3 zone, Jim. Walker in the middle is the answer.
He'll take the turnaround and come up shy right away. Syracuse ball. This 2-3 zone vaunted during the NCAA tournament.
And Jim, you're going to see Kentucky start inside, then work out, as opposed to what Mississippi State did Saturday.
Ball's pass deflected, but back to him. Here's Hill. They'll double him up. What a first half he had Saturday.
What a tournament he's had. He's been outstanding.
Ahead to Delk.
Could have been
travel. No travel. That pass, though, into the arms of Boeheim.
Well, he almost made it to a Final Four in '66 as a player with Dave Bing. Got knocked off by Duke. Pretty good catch by a man who had a great senior year.
He came to Syracuse, to Boeheim, as a walk-on, left as a co-captain with Bing. And 30 years ago, they lost to Duke in the East Final to get to the Final Four.
Now here, Walker on Wallace. Wallace really can handle the ball in the open court. Probably be the secondary ball handler for this team. Sims, obviously, the primary guy on Delk.
Wallace steps in. Travel. He's looking around. What?
Might have been a little makeup. He traveled the first time, and it was missed, so he got caught on the second.
He thought maybe he was heading to the free throw line. These teams played last year at Rupp Arena. Kentucky won 77-71 in an error-marred game. Walker baseliner. And Sims with the board. Syracuse racing into the front court.
Anderson doing a lot of hand checking.
Reach it in. Anderson. Billy, when these two played last year, phenomenal number of turnovers in that game. Again, only a 6-point win by Kentucky on its home floor, forcing 33 Syracuse turnovers. Syracuse hasn't had that many in a game since, and for that matter, Kentucky had 25 turnovers. They haven't matched that since. Wallace gets it back, though, and there you go. John Wallace gets the game's first bucket.
Now there's the power, the combination of Wallace and Hill. Kentucky does have a weakness. It's an interior strength.
Out to Sapola. And Kentucky with a shaky start. Misfiring.
That Sims must have eyes in the back of his head. You know, a lot of guys chase him down, but he always seems to get by him.
Another traveling call on the Orangeman.
Here, Wallace on the inside. Excellent move. Got by with a little swim stroke there. Gets it back. Nobody going on the boards to check him out. He's too strong a player to let have his way inside.
Mark Pope has come in for Kentucky.
Rick Pitino right away says, I need a little bit more weight down in low against those two fellas.
Took out Walker. We missed a couple of shots.
That extra pass by Kentucky, so important. Matching up out front.
Epps stepped in and dished out. Delk three, rattles it in.
Bergen went right for Delk's waist, but shows the concentration that Delk has on the shot. He kept his eye right on target. Terrific shooter. Sims uses his wide body, too, as a dribbler, Jim. Constantly keeping his body between himself and the man guarding him.
Bergen drives, then dishes, and a turnover. Remember, Syracuse on Saturday committed only 5 for the game, and 2 of them were in the last minute. They've already had 3 here, Billy, in the game's first 2.5.
Well, consider the opponent as well. Kentucky will turn it over. Make you turn it over constantly. Now, they're not putting a man on the foul line like they had with Walker at the start of the game. Something I'm expecting them to deploy early.
Eric Anderson missing. Ball tipped around back to Epps, who will reset.
Now, Syracuse not a great rebounding team out of this zone, even though they've got size back there.
Bouncing it in, the poke. Almost lost it. Beautiful interior pass. McCarty, Anderson missing a lay-in. Second try, and Hill gets the grasp.
Kentucky is good an interior passing team as you're going to see. Look at Anderson, as quick as he is.
Yeah, Pitino helped them make the call. It was right in front of the Kentucky bench. A push-off on Sims.
Now, Sims, as I said, likes to use his body to keep the defender away. Anderson staying right with him, and they called that a little push-off, kind of a touch. Probably the fact that Sims is so much heavier just knocked Anderson back. Jim Boeheim wanting to work these officials a little bit. Wise move on his part.
Antoine Walker back in, Anderson out.
Obviously, he cannot afford the fouls.
There he is, Walker on the baseline. He got the pass.
Jimmy, that's the play against the 2-3. Get it in the center and operate.
Sapola looked at the hole for a moment. They brought in Ron Mercer, freshman number 33 for Kentucky.
And here's where Kentucky is very underrated. Their half-court defensive sets.
Too strong, and Walker.
Maybe a little bit too excited there. Didn't have a good touch on the shot. Mercer, who had the great game on Saturday, and not many minutes played, but came in for important field goals.
Yep, big minutes. 9 points for the freshman. Sapola with the steal. Sims looks up for it, but no one there. Sapola setting up. Got the feet planted. Three-pointer. Too long. 5-2 Kentucky. 4.5 into the game. Only a Wallace putback for the Orangemen so far.
There's the spot that makes the zone adjust. Anytime they get the ball on the foul line, Syracuse has to make big adjustments.
And Delk hits his second three-pointer. Bergen pass deflected, but Wallace able to get it across just in time. Hill in the paint. Sapola for two. Good passing by Syracuse.
An excellent hesitation by Sapola. Sapola's biggest game, he had 25 here in the Meadowlands against Seton Hall, so he has to feel comfortable here.
Delk travel.
Now, Tony Delk loves that jump move. Didn't get away with it there. Is the hole where the opening is available. Now watch what's going to happen. Kentucky comes inside, and then they work outside, and Hill has to make the adjustment. Watch how Kentucky deploys. Man comes up in the open area. Good bounce pass. Too late for Syracuse to adjust. And I believe Kentucky will wear that out until the Syracuse zone 2-3 becomes a 2-1-2.
J.B. Reed-Snyder has come in for Syracuse, number 32, and Jeff Shepard on the ball right now for Kentucky, number 15. They double up Bergen. They got a 2-on-1 at this end. Sapola will challenge. Now kick it back out.
Sapola should have passed that ball as soon as he touched it. They had a nice 2-on-1 opportunity for a layup.
Sapola takes the three. And Shepard. Bergen reached in, knocked it out. Kentucky ball. Kentucky 33-2 on the year, while Syracuse 29-8.
Jim, one of the things Syracuse probably does as well as anybody, because they're good overall team size, is they'll throw the ball over the top of a press. And they've been doing it pretty effectively, but not finishing on the other end.
Anderson steps in. Shepard does as well.
They keep trying to go inside out.
Walker and Wallace with the long rebound. Sims broke early. Ahead to Bergen. What do they call it? They're going charge. Charge on Bergen.
Now here is where fouls really can hurt Syracuse. It can make that bench so short. Good hit ahead. Bergen needed to stop. Shepard did a great job getting back on defense.
McCarty in for Kentucky.
Reeve Snyder down in the hole now.
Billy, you saw it. They've already matched the number of turnovers they committed on Saturday against Mississippi State.
Credit Kentucky for a lot of it.
Mercer, two-pointer. Wallace, good hold of that rebound.
Sapola is releasing early out of the 2-3 zone, meaning his area will not be very good for rebounding, but he may get an easy one.
Wallace likes it at the top of the key. And he gives Walker a little stare, doesn't he?
I guarantee you, he has developed that part of his game just beautifully this year.
Walker, McCarty.
How about those hands? What are those hands on Anderson? Just slashing on in there. And here comes the wave from the dazzling dozen.
Pope, Epps, Delk. All back in for Kentucky.
And it makes no difference, Jim, what alignment they put out there. Mercer thought he was still in there.
It looks like they have 6 on the floor sometime.
I guarantee it'd be a good way to practice against them, the way they cover the court.
Look at Anderson give it up. Pope short. And Bergen battling on the boards.
That's the one area where Syracuse does have depth, and that is with Hill and Reeve Snyder.
Now a 6th turnover for Syracuse. Epps with the numbers. They left him alone. Pope, he'll take a 3.
A little bit too early. This is Kentucky. They've got to get settling down in their half-court set. Ill-advised shot like that has very little offensive rebounding potential.
Bergen 3 for the lead.
Jim Bergen really had the big game against Mississippi State, not only from the outside where he was 6 for 11, 19 points, 7 rebounds, solid.
Delk to get it back. Yes.
The player of the year in the SEC is pretty solid too, isn't he?
Knocked down 3 threes already.
There's the double.
Delk with a 2-on-1. Anderson back to the TD. Look at this passing. And 1.
Jim, before this season started, Rick Pitino says, I know that I have the best players I've ever coached. I don't know if I have the best team I've ever coached. I think that's an example of how well he's coached players to become a team. Look at this beautiful handling back and forth.
And that's the second on Sims, player that Syracuse cannot afford to lose.
Well, Sims has got to understand and recognize that the trap is coming and get rid of that ball. He has a tendency to want to dribble through traps, and with Kentucky, that's almost impossible.
So Anderson, after the great passing between Anderson and Delk, gives Kentucky the lead 14-10. Delk with 9 already. We'll be right back. A total attendance figure this year, or average attendance. Kentucky won the title, Syracuse second.
Here's that business of going over the top, but very dangerous with the quickness.
Anderson picked it off, and he gets it right back from it.
There it is, Jim, turning defense into offense by the same man.
This was always the scary part. The last 2 days, everyone talked about it, with Syracuse cave in to this full-court pressure. This time they beat it. Come up empty.
Every dribble seems like an experience unto itself, doesn't it, against that press?
Delk got it off the hip. And Reeve Snyder fouled by Anderson.
That's Anderson's second, is that right?
Yep. Number 2.
Of course, that doesn't bother Rick Pitino. He can look down there on that bench and slide somebody in. And here comes Mercer. Now, Mercer earned playing time last week. If you can see how Rick Pitino, with his professional background as a coach, knows how to split these minutes. I think that was invaluable experience he had with the Knickerbockers.
And you also saw for Syracuse, Marius Yanulis, number 42, come in, and Otis Hill has returned. 33 held. That's Ron Mercer.
Now, Rick Pitino, I was just watching him on the sidelines. He told Walker, be careful. They're going to try to throw the ball long because they're having so much problem getting the ball in on the end line. So Walker's back here patrolling.
They don't guard the inbound pass. Sims easily gets past the Wildcats that time. Cross court to Bergen. Yanulis can shoot it from the outside.
And Kentucky knows that, so they're playing him tight.
Wallace drew it down and led to the line.
Boy, he showed us a 25-foot jumper, and there he shows us the little jump stop for inside move. He has got a total ball game. Terrific job, and going up against McCarty, who's an excellent defender.
McCarty's first. And Wallace.
11 of his 21 points against Mississippi State came in that great drive in the last 8 minutes. He's a money player. Hit the big shot, beat Kansas. 10 in overtime against Georgia. He's had some kind of tournament.
And he has 8 of Syracuse's 13. 16-13 Wildcats. Walker so quick to get the feet planted and turn around and pop it.
The zone has so much trouble when that ball gets into that center area. How about this? Bergen being used as the primary ball handler, taking Sims out of there. Remember, Sims has those 2 fouls. Jim Boeheim trying to make sure he's not getting the 3rd foul on the offensive end.
One of his 2 fouls was a push-off on the offensive end.
And that's why Boeheim did it. Nice subtle move.
Look at that. Heading, firing, hitting, and heading to the line.
And Jim Boeheim working one end of the court. Rick Pitino the others. Pitino saying, no, that call was too early, but he certainly was in the act of shooting.
He faked out Kentucky with that pass, the fake pass to the corner. And Sims, so key to the success of Syracuse this year. 18-16 Kentucky.
The young man had a triple-double this year against St. John's. Unlikely statistic, huh?
It's only been done by 4 other players in Big East history.
Good hustle by Sims. Well, if anybody wondered if the game Saturday was the JV game, so far there has been no indication, has it?
You know, staying right with them.
Yep. Syracuse had that happen to him in the regional when everybody was saying the Arizona-Kansas game was really for the championship. So they've been through it before. McCarty's in excellent position.
Delk 3. Finally missing from the outside. Epstone gets his try. And that also off the mark.
Syracuse doing a pretty good job on long shots, rebounding tight inside.
Walker knocked that loose, and it ended up in Sims' hands. Hill. He can't find it. He hasn't scored. He's 0 for 3 tonight. Lob goes in.
Now that should have been no basket, Jim.
They count it as a 3.
Because the ball was in the cylinder when Wallace had his hands on it.
3-point basket.
That's the second one you and I have seen in the tournament. A pass that became a perfect shot.
Darnell Burton of Cincinnati pulled it off in the regional. Mercer steps in. Syracuse has the ball and a 1-point lead.
This is a nice job by Syracuse to take the ball away from out of Sims' hands.
Walker too tight on that one. Whistle for it.
Jim, we'll see it right here. See, that ball is in the cylinder.
I think he touched it.
Oh, no question about it. The ball is in the cylinder, and Wallace touches it. See, so that should not have been a basket. And definitely should not have been a 3. See, he touches the ball while it's above in the cylinder above the basket. You'll see it right here, without question, an illegal basket.
And a 3-point basket on top of it. Not like it was a 2 on an alley-oop. Hill really fighting for it. Can't get it to drop, and Wallace just pounding inside. He didn't come to play. He's come to dominate tonight. And Syracuse leads 21-18.
Danny Manning, Jim, bringing back any memories? Put a team on his back and carried them to a championship in a game that we never thought they could run with Oklahoma.
And you first started saying that when Syracuse was out in the West. It's not something you just came up with here the last 2 days. He'll carry him. I'll take him right here.
How about
Put him on my shoulders.
And how about those shoulders? Wide, aren't they? And the beat hook down inside is making a pretty good impersonation. of what happened.
Shepherd drives, knocks it down. He'll try to draw the charge, no call.
Now, we're talking about Shepherd was a starter last year in most of the ball games, so he comes off that bench with a lot of talent.
Oh, that pass just wild over the head of Yanulis.
Well, this is something that Jim Boeheim has to take the gamble on. Again, keeping that ball out of Sims' hands for a while.
John Wallace has 10 points, 4 rebounds, and the Orangemen lead under 8. 33% from the field, and out-rebounding the Wildcats 15-9.
Jim, they're rebounding so strong down inside with Hill and now Wallace, who's out of there. They were out-rebounded 41-21 by Mississippi State.
And Wallace getting a blow for a moment. Something you don't always see with Hill and Reed-Schneider in the lineup at the same time. Usually they just alternate. Same spot. But they go together here down low for the Orange.
Well, Wallace is going to get all of about 30-second break.
Yep, just an extra second or two.
Nice piece of coaching by Jim Boeheim using the timeout.
Look at Hill surrounded. He traveled. And Wallace right back in.
Hill has got to understand where that double team comes from and throw opposite. Kentucky converges so well on that, and they work on it day in, day out. Rick Pitino made a nice point, too, and we've watched them practice, talking about how they go against zones 15 to 20 minutes every day. He feels they're a pretty good zone team.
They've been 50%, over 50% for the tournament coming in here, and Shepherd throws it out of bounds.
You know, that was not Shepherd's fault. Walker actually should have been breaking to the basket. He stood still and just was a spectator.
They go long. Yanulis, touchdown catch. But he spiked it in the end zone, so he'll bring it back out.
Hope not as good a defender back there in center field as is Walker. They almost got by with it.
Look at Wallace on the carry of the load, now kicks it out. Shepherd bumps into Bergen. And that's the 7th team foul on Kentucky.
See, Wallace is so strong down inside. They tried to double team him, and he just powered the ball through. Similar to what we saw at Cincinnati against Georgia Tech.
Sapola in for Yanulis, and Epps has replaced Shepherd. Bergen will shoot a 1-on-1. Really improved his free throw shooting on Saturday.
He certainly did, Jim. He was having all kinds of problems in the tournament up to that point. He was 5 for 19 prior to Saturday in the NCAA tournament. But made them when they counted against Mississippi State. Hope late coming to the middle.
Shot short. Ball free. Hope. Jump ball, they say. Yep. Arrow with the Orange.
Syracuse getting some very valuable minutes out of Reed-Schneider.
Let's see how they work the pressure this time.
Well, Sims back in there. He's probably going to let Bergen do it again so that they...
Well, they got 2-on-1 down here. Wallace, pull-up jumper. What a night he's off to.
He really is, Jim. He was thinking about passing that ball. Rick Pitino wants a 20-second timeout. They are going right over the top of the press.
Wallace has amassed more than half of the Syracuse total. He has 12.
Jim, you can see they're going over the top of the press. Walker that time should have anticipated, particularly with Wallace down there, that they'd go to him. That was a long pass to be able to get by with, as good as Kentucky is in the press. But they're not trying to put the ball on the floor with a dribble. They're going right over the top.
Rick Pitino and his wife Joanne will celebrate their 20th anniversary on Wednesday. It's also the anniversary date when he was hired by Boeheim as a Syracuse assistant. And their wedding night was somewhat spoiled by Boeheim, who showed up at their honeymoon hotel in New York. Said, come on down to the lobby. I want to talk about hiring you here. They talked for 2.5 hours. He got the job. Mercer, three-pointer to tie it.
A beautiful shot by Ron Mercer. Excellent follow-through.
Question is, can Boeheim spoil the second biggest night of Pitino's life?
Wallace, he was backing up on that one. That wasn't his traditional shot. Good judgment by Epps, trying to slow this thing down a little.
Off Kentucky. 5:44 to go first half. Alan Edwards will come in for the first time into the Kentucky lineup out of Miami, Florida.
Jim, you remember last year when Kentucky lost in the NCAA tournament? They played against North Carolina's 2-3 point zone. They only shot 28% that night from 3, 7 for 36. They're getting a little bit too frenetic in this game. Slow down, you know they don't have to put it up so quickly.
It really looks rushed right now.
Yes, it is. It's rushed on shots, rushed on judgment.
Delk has missed his last 4 attempts after nailing his first 3.
This is a great move by Jim Boeheim to get that ball out of Sims' hands some.
Bergen's pass kicked by Delk, and that's a break because Delk had that ball smothered. He was all over Bergen.
I'm anxious to see what happens when the ball goes down the low post to Hill and somebody starts to cut to the basket. If Hill will touch it and make a touch pass to the cutter, Syracuse is going to have a layup.
Mercer out, Walker returns.
Clear out for Bergen.
Bounce pass, tough one. And Kentucky just knocked it out of bounds. Syracuse lucky to retain possession.
That's a nice smart move by Hill that time. He thought Bergen could take his man, so he cleared out for him, left an open space behind.
Wallace pulls up again.
Good block out by Polk.
And that cost Wallace a foul.
He has to be very careful here. Referees are not going to take that kind of demonstration. Nice piece of officiating, and he goes by and tells Wallace, don't need any lip.
That's his first, Billy. The other thing, nice piece of boxing out way far out from the goal.
Oh, sure.
I mean, Polk was some 15 feet away, and he had him boxed out. Wallace thus committed the foul.
Oh, yeah, you block out away from the basket as well as down in the interior.
Textbook there for Polk. And Edwards traveled. His first time handling the ball tonight.
Kentucky really out of sync in their half-court man-to-man. Their half-court zone attack.
Sims breaks long. Sapola comes up to take the inbounds pass. Wallace can handle it, but they'll dish it back to Bergen, who's carrying the load here since Sims picked up his second.
Wallace trying to conserve some strength. I mean, down in the scoring area, too. You don't want him bringing the ball all the way up the court. You want him as the finisher.
Bergen. And Syracuse back in front, 25-23.
Jim, I said loose as a goose. Are they loose as a goose or not, this Syracuse front?
Wallace tapped it against the backboard, the side, and it'll be Kentucky ball. Well, Bergen had some game on Saturday, Billy.
He really did, and what happened there is Epps is used to guarding a guard. Bergen is a forward. I think that Epps kind of relaxed a little bit, surprised at the explosive nature, and once he got down inside, Bergen too strong for him.
Delk 3, back on target.
The equalizer. Bergen has to be careful with that dribble.
Wildcats lead by 1.
Little hand check in here by Mercer.
Walker stole it. Ahead to Mercer. Hill won't get there.
2 mistakes that time by Sims. Trying to make too delicate a pass, and then stood there as Mercer, who was guarding him, ran right by.
And smart 20 here by Boeheim, because this is what Kentucky does. They seduce you into that frenetic play where suddenly in 30 seconds they've scored 7 or 8 points.
Absolutely, get that run.
Jim Boeheim in his second final. He was there in 1987 against Indiana, championship game in the Superdome. Syracuse and Indiana coming down to the final seconds. Keith Smart on the baseline over Trish for the winner. You know, they asked Boeheim yesterday how many times he's gone back and looked at the tape of that game. Never. Says it's too painful.
I remember Syracuse had a 3-point lead. Howard Trish missed the back end of a 1-on-1, could have made it 4. All of those shots could have been academic.
Little too close. That'll send Sims to the line, 1-1. Shepard called for that one, and Shepard has 2.
There's a case where Sims is kind of hard to figure out, Jim. He doesn't look fast, but there you had Shepard and Delk chasing him down the sideline, and he was able to stay right with him, and he's the one that was dribbling the ball. Shepard couldn't get out and head him off.
Epps keeps shuttling in and out. He returns. 1-1. Tipped it out on the floor, and the arrow belongs to Kentucky. Well, they may have a foul. Yeah, well, they got Wallace, who can't believe it.
Normally when that ball's on the floor and everybody's swarming, you can get some body contact, but I think in that particular case, John Wallace went right over the back.
Now we've got the under 4 timeout. Kentucky on a spurt, and a 3-point lead for the Wildcats. Run, and Syracuse hurting itself at the free throw line, Billy, because the front end of the 1-on-1 missed, and Wallace called for his second.
Well, now we have Wallace and Hill, the two guys that are so critical down on the inside, the two in some foul trouble. You have Sims had the 2 fouls. And Jim, Syracuse, had they made those free throws, you know, they've got themselves not only points, but they don't commit those cheap fouls.
Traveling call for Pope. Let's see if Syracuse, Billy, can go the last 3.5 without Wallace or Sims picking up that damaging third.
And also from a point standpoint, it's really critical for Syracuse to stay in the game. Make Kentucky go in at halftime knowing they have a ball game on their hands.
Tip pass, and Sapola tapped it over quickly to Sims. That's the kind of alert passing that usually results in an opportunity, but Kentucky intense here on the man-to-man.
Important for Hill to get a basket. He hasn't scored, Jim.
He's 0 for 5. Bergen saved it. Wallace will take it over him. Three-pointer ties the game, 28.
He's doing it inside, outside, and Jim, that's where that cheap second foul could be so tough going down the wire. Kentucky trying to run a man into the middle. It's Pope. He's not as good a passer as is Walker. I'm surprised Walker's not on that foul line some. Wow, that's going to go, isn't it?
Yeah, it's going to go, and it's on Hill.
So now you've got Sims with 2, Wallace with 2, and Hill doesn't get over there in time.
Hey, Mercer has some big-time moves, but so does this guy, John Wallace, hitting a second 3 for the night.
Beautiful square up.
Wallace has 15. McCarty in for Kentucky.
Jim, this young man was maybe the best high school player in America last year. A lot of people thought that. Against Massachusetts the other night, 16 minutes, 4 for 6, 9 points. The game before that against Wake Forest, only 6 minutes, no points. So he's coming up big here in the Final Four.
Hill wants some help. He'll go over the top. And Walker's there to intercept. The numbers for Kentucky. They got a man advantage. Delk 3. Old Delk. Another one.
Who would you rather have shooting it than Tony Delk? No one.
He has 5 3-pointers. The most in a championship game with Steve Alford was 7 against Syracuse back in '87. And Delk with 5 already.
2:08 to go. There's the double. That's what I was talking about, Jim. And he'll hit the ball into the low post. The man will cut. He's wide open.
And Hill finally gets a bucket to drop.
Great recognition that time by Wallace.
Delk caught, but Mercer safety valve. That no-look pass. Yeah, Mercer over the top for 3. And Kentucky, Syracuse better be careful. Kentucky up 7 with 1:38 to go in the first half. Delk. Reach in.
Jim, if people haven't seen Kentucky before, and it's hard to believe that they wouldn't with all the exposure they get, he was a starter in the first 12 games of the year. Averaged 21 minutes a game was Mercer. And then Rick Pitino came to the point and said, if we're going to win a national championship, the seniors are going to do it, not Ron Mercer. He's our man for the future. Well, the future is now tonight.
So 1-1. The 19 foul. They have blown the opportunities on the first two one-on-ones, and Bergen misfired on one of them. And this one.
Syracuse foul shooting prowess. The 70% free throw shooting team this year. Having problems tonight.
Give up what could have been 6 points at the line, missing
Absolutely.
3 front ends.
They'd be down 1 at this point. Good touch pass by McCarty.
Sims kicks it out. Delk for number 6. Yes.
Now that's 18 big ones. 40-30. Kentucky, you could feel the run coming. Syracuse just trying to get out of this half alive. Delk steals it. Right back to Bergen, though. He's got to hit ahead to Sims. Hill for 2. Oh, nasty fall. He'll head to the line, but a big thud here as Hill went up, slammed it home. Nothing intentional here. Not at all, Jim. And there's another sign of great sportsmanship that we're seeing in this tournament. Tony Delk, look at Tony Delk with Hill. The kids in this tournament this year have exemplified sportsmanship like I've never seen before. Delk goes up, Hill defenseless because he's in the air. He has no place to go but straight down. But look at Tony Delk the whole time staying right with him. Great steal by Bergen. A huge turnover. Up 10, Kentucky with the ball. And now Syracuse at the line with a chance to get it down to 7. It could have been 12 or 13 at the other end. So he landed right on his tailbone. You're talking about a man with about, what, 250 pounds coming straight down with no place to protect himself. There's a free throw finally. Reed Schneider, Yanulis in for Syracuse. 50 seconds to go in the half. Jim, we talked about the fact that Jimmy Boeheim made the calculated gamble to take the ball out of Sims' hands, son, to rest him a little bit, make sure he doesn't pick up that third foul. But you sure want him to have the ball. Here comes that trap at half court. Epps breaks out of it to Edwards. On the baseline, Walker. Outside Bergen. Before the shot. Coming up, Pennzoil at the half. Pat Quinn, George, Coach K, and Coach Herrick. They'll have their first half analysis, plus a look back at the 1963 Mississippi State team. It made history, breaking down barriers off the court. That's coming up. Pennzoil at the half. Comes back in for McCarty. The double bonus. And 1 second, 1 8/10 second above the shot clock, so Syracuse will have to give it up. Actually ruled that, Billy, in the act of shooting. Not the double bonus, so Walker with 1 more. 18 fouls on Syracuse. 41-33 Kentucky. This terrific run by Kentucky turned what seemed to be a low-scoring game into one where they changed the whole tempo of how the game is played. Reed Schneider. Oh, the dangerous pass. Especially when it's under the opponent goal. Yanulis not a good ball handler either. Sims wants it. He called for it. Good move. You feel so much more comfortable for Syracuse when Sims has the ball in his hands. Just a 1 second differential shot clock, game clock. Syracuse can run it down. They got the ball in the right hands. Wallace not this time. Breaks free. He'll launch it in time on the mark. But Kentucky with a run at the end of the half. They broke a 28-28 tie with a 14-5 run to close the first half. With the score, Kentucky 42, Syracuse 33. CBS Sports exclusive coverage of the NCAA basketball championship will continue. All right, ball goes into that area I've been talking about. It goes out to Delk. The zone cannot recover in time. Excellent ball movement against the zone by Kentucky. Out to Delk, and this is one of his 6 threes by the zone time. The zone gets there. Delk is in. Now watch the play unfold. There goes the pass. Here comes McCarty up to the middle. Zone collapses. He hits across an opposite. Delk wide open for the patented jumper and buries it.
All right, chance now to go through your pregame points and see how they're sizing up. Your game analysis, Billy. First, heat of the night.
Oh, without question, Jim, look at this. Syracuse, 13 turnovers. UK with 15 points off of turnovers. Definitely a major factor in this game.
And the dazzling dozen.
The dazzling dozen. They just keep coming at you. Look at the difference. Kentucky, 13 points. Syracuse bench, nothing. 32 minutes to 12. The dazzling dozen comes there again. The meat hook. This was my Dimitri Hill, the University of Florida comparison with Otis Hill. Otis not filling up right there, only 2 for 7. As Jim Herrick said, he has to come forward. Dimitri Hill had 29 and 10 against him. Loose as a goose, Jim. Syracuse was. The score was 28-all with 2:54 to go. Then Kentucky went on a 14-5 run, and in doing so, maybe took some of that looseness away.
What happened during that stretch, Billy, that 14-5 run?
Well, I think a couple of things. Ball handling problems for Syracuse with Sims having those 2 fouls. Jimmy Boeheim trying to keep the ball out of his hands. Syracuse really doesn't have that secondary rebounder. And when you try to go over the press, Kentucky is so quick in that back line that they pick them off. And their defense goes immediately to offense, and that's where they're so effective.
All right, let's check out the first half numbers, Billy. Field goal percentage. Syracuse shot 50% from the field, better than Kentucky, in fact. Out-rebounded them by 2. Bench points, as you pointed out, Billy, an advantage that everyone expected anyway going in. Kentucky 13-0, though. A pretty large difference.
Jim, I think we have a little controversy out on the court right now. I'm wondering if the floor is a leak on the floor. And the referee's talking to the 2 coaches right now, talking about an area down on what would be Syracuse shooting end.
All right, Billy, we have more on that with Andrea Joyce. Andrea, what's the word?
All right, well, Jim, as you know, it's been raining outside in the New Jersey, New York area. Apparently, the roof is leaking out here at the arena, and it's leaking down right on the foul line, or right on the three-point line, and they've been wiping it up. They think that they still have a leak. They're just keeping their eye on it, and they'll wait and see what happens. Back to you guys.
All right, Jim, we talked about 6 guys. It seems like when you play Kentucky's press, we may have 5 players and somebody wiping up the floor. It really will be 6 guys out there.
It was raining threes in the first half for Tony Delk, who hit 6 of them for Kentucky. 6 out of 7 from three-point land.
And there's that patented 2-3 zone still there. Epps trying to penetrate with the dribble. Jim, Kentucky this year, 32-0 when they lead at halftime.
Delk missed a chippy, though. And Syracuse comes out of there with its first trip down the floor.
Anderson on Sims. Look at where he put his hand, right in his face.
Yeah, Sims slapped it out of the way.
Sims got to be careful with that one.
For that passing. Delk for number 7.
Do we see in a Kentucky practice for Rick Pitino stretches that extra pass so that everybody knows where to rebound. Very effective.
Bill's
got wide open.
Yeah. He was in the lane for a while, but they reached around.
Anderson is free under the basket.
Delk from the other side. Back up, you can hear the slap. He'll head to the line.
Walker did a good job blocking out on his end of the floor to get a wide open rebound. Here's where I talked about the face guard. Watch this right here. Anderson puts his hand up there. Sims backs it away. That's the kind of thing an official wants to get them organized in a hurry.
Third foul on Bergen of Syracuse. Bergen with 3, Wallace 2, Sims 2. Mashburn's number 24. Mashburn said he could be the best ever for Coach Pitino. I hope he is. He is wearing my number. And Anderson saves it.
Jim Mashburn, surprisingly, the only first-round draft choice that Pitino's ever had at Kentucky. You think about all their talent. That's quite a stat.
Wallace able to generate a call against Kentucky, against McCarty. And that's his second.
There's Kentucky not guarding the man, taking the ball out of bounds. Syracuse likes to go right over the top, and again, it's going to be Bergen handling the ball. This has been a big move by Jim Boeheim. Pola wanted to go cross court, but Sims stood still. There was nobody to pass to.
Almost 2 minutes into the second half, and no one has scored. Still 42-33 Kentucky.
They're not hitting Hill when he's open. They're waiting, Jim.
That was a wild shot, but the rebound chased down by Wallace. Sapola for three.
Not the shot they want. Syracuse has got to pound the ball down inside to Hill to get him doing something, because Kentucky's really playing tough on the perimeter now.
Epps gives it up last minute, and a traveling call.
But that allows, that little break right here allows Kentucky to get back in their full court pressure. And not guarding the man taking the ball out of bounds allows Walker to be the safety man.
Wallace puts it up for two.
Boy, he is terrific, isn't he? Whether he stops outside, leaned right underneath there.
He's trying to be careful not to be called for a charge, so he backs off. Anderson back to the rim. Bergen with a good job on the board.
And there you can see again, Anderson bothering Sims by putting that hand up on him.
Wallace again. Hill keeps it alive, but Anderson finally gets a hold of it. Numbers, Kentucky. Inside, McConnell. Good pass. I tell you, Antoine Walker doesn't pass like a man who's 6 foot and 6'8".
Now, he makes excellent judgments, Jim, and he actually likes to have the ball outside on the perimeter. That was a 4-on-2 break. Well executed by Kentucky. You see it right here. There's Walker, as you're talking about, Jim. Beautiful bounce pass. McCarty follows it right into the hands and puts it away.
McCarty's first two. Reach Snyder in for Syracuse. Tough pass. Pope just in. This might be a backcourt violation. It is.
Hey, Jim, you can't throw a pass that soft against this press. Kentucky is quicker than is Syracuse. They'll run right underneath it and pick it off.
44-35 Kentucky.
You're going to throw it over the press. It's got to have a little bit of smoke on it.
Reeve Snyder, two-pointer.
Just like Sapola's shot. Not in the best interest.
Mercer left alone. Puts the spin on it.
He's putting the spin on how good a player he is what he's doing.
Syracuse now with its largest deficit of the whole tournament. Wallace, though, quickly adds 2 and maybe 3.
That's where the ball belongs for Syracuse if they're going to get back in the game. They've taken some ill-advised outside shots. Excellent bounce pass. Wallace spins. Even with a man as big as Pope, goes right up against him and scores.
Pope's first. They needed this.
Wallace, second-team All-American. The people who are watching him tonight for the first time probably said they wondered why. We talked about it Saturday. 3 men in his league made first-team All-American for the first time in the history of the All-American team. Allen Iverson, obviously the outstanding player from Georgetown, Kerry Kittles.
His mother, Vanessa,
and
who was reduced to tears when he called her 2 days before last summer's NBA draft and said, I'm going back to school to get the degree and set the example to my younger brothers. He'll graduate in May.
McCarty should have passed that ball to Mercer.
Bergen, he's open, got a screen from Reeve Snyder. Gets back in his hands, tipped to him, and Pope fouled him.
Jim Bergen was a little upset with himself. You notice how his feet were twisted on that jump shot, and he really couldn't get himself reset to take it.
McCarty collects his 3rd Shepherd inners for the Wildcats. Bergen.
Jim, these foul shots so critical for Syracuse. It was the one thing that helped that run get started for Kentucky in the first half.
Now he missed 2 front ends of a 1-on-1 to Bergen. And a chance now to hit 2 here. And his father Lamont shakes his head with pride. It was 11 for a moment, but Syracuse comes back to get within 6.
Is a leak. It's raining outside. It's been raining all day long, and the water is dripping down onto the court. The leak has gotten worse in the last 10 or 15 minutes. It's leaking now in about 3 different places. They're just going to continue to mop it up whenever there's a dead ball until they get it fixed. Back to you guys.
All right, Syracuse with a steal.
Jim, it's amazing the difference of Pope in the middle as opposed to Walker. Pope, not a good passer, really couldn't deliver.
Sapola stuck for a moment. Bergen on the drive. Good move. Got the roll.
Jim Bergen coming up big just as he did against Mississippi State, where he had those 19 points, 7 rebounds.
And a huge second half. Mercer leans in. We had a freshman last year, Toby Bailey, who stepped up so big in the final. Look at that.
Wide open.
Wide open. Lays it in for 2.
What happened? Tony Delk got so interested in Wallace, he didn't realize the Pola slipped behind him.
Hope for 3. Walker slips to his hand.
Now, Mercer really was the defender on that play against his own teammate.
Well, it was an 11-point Kentucky lead just a moment ago, and Syracuse hadn't trailed by that many in the whole tournament. Lob inside, and it says Bergen slams it home.
Jim Bergen's given Kentucky's matchups a lot of problems. That time it was Delk that caught on a bigger man.
22nd timeout, Kentucky.
We'll see it right here. The screen goes on Delk. Delk on Bergen. Although Tony is a good leaper, he can't handle Bergen, who's got about 3.5 inches on him. Great lob pass. Excellent eye contact on the play. Second time tonight. Of course, the first time, Sims got credit for a 3.
That was incredible timing, Billy. Just watching it courtside, watching it develop. I thought Delk was on it, but the timing was just right. The pass was perfect, and Bergen reached up to grab it as if to say, I got it. Knocks it down. You know, this game here at the Meadowlands is being played in, of all places, Bergen County. And he may be the king of Bergen County if he keeps this up.
Let's think of what Kentucky has not done lately. They have not gotten the ball at all to Tony Delk.
Sapola on the foul, just the second. Walker banks it in.
Walker and Mercer have been outstanding in this second half, and there's that lob again. There's a hole.
And two players down. It's Sims and Epps. And Sims is in great pain.
Epps up. It looks like it's his wrist, Jim.
Foul is going to be against Kentucky's Mercer.
Sims' wrist. Run right into each other. It's on the way down where he hurts it. Epps is up. He's okay. He's going to walk it off a little bit.
Sims a little shaken to the Syracuse bench. Unuva said.
Jim, I wonder if Syracuse will go ahead and try maybe to deploy the getting the ball in bounds by stepping another man out of bounds when Kentucky does not guard the inbounds passer. They're trying to throw these little lobs, short lobs, and it's getting them into some serious trouble.
That one was just waiting to be picked off. It hadn't been a foul call.
And what hurts on that puts Kentucky in a position to have a nice 3-on-1 advantage on the offensive end if they pick it off.
So with Sims out and his wrist getting some treatment, massaging, Sapola brings it into the front court.
Pretty nice job on Epps, but he didn't have to face the double team. Shaky ball handlers out there now for Syracuse.
Wallace inside. He tried to force it. Walker read it. Look at him. How agile is he? And Walker on the offensive glass. Yanulis. 13 minutes to go. 6-point Kentucky lead.
Very dangerous time for Syracuse right now. The team they have on the floor without Sims is in serious trouble. You see Wallace is tired. I really think Jim Boeheim needs to go for a timeout.
Hope underneath. Stuck. Walker's made steals the last 2 innings. times on the defensive end.
Heavy taping job taking place on Sims right now.
Hope looks around, fires it. Hill out-wrestles Kentucky for the rebound.
Wallace is just walking down the court, Jim. Maybe trying to wait on a TV timeout, but that can be dangerous with this shaky ball handling.
Which comes in the first whistle under 12. Zapola, nowhere to go. Underneath and off Syracuse. Near the conclusion of this game, Billy and I will select the genuine Chevrolet most valuable player of the game from each team. To date, Chevrolet has contributed almost $5.5 million to the scholarship funds of America's colleges and universities.
Jim Sims has got a lot of tape on that wrist, and we don't know how uncomfortable it will feel to him when he tries to handle the ball.
Well, we had a point guard last year in the championship game with a wrist sprain. He wasn't able to go after trying. Tyus Edney, UCLA pulled out the win that night in Seattle.
But there's no Cameron Dollar here to substitute for that position if you're Jim Boeheim. That's the one position he has no help on.
They'll get a chance to rest now. Delk stepped on the line. Kentucky shooting only 25% in the second half, but leading by 6. Kentucky in quest of a 6th national championship. Billy Packer, they've turned it over. Syracuse the last 4 trips, but still only down 6.
Not surprising, though. Sims on the bench. We said that was a very shaky ball handling team out of there. They might have dodged the bullet to get this time out as they are. And Mercer having a super game. But, Jim, one of the things that has happened here with Mercer coming up, Kentucky has forgotten who number 00 is. Delk is 0 for 4 in the second half. They ought to get him back to stroking at 3. Here's Mercer again. He's everywhere.
Mercer from the corner. 3-pointer. 20 points for the freshman.
When we talk about the dazzling dozen, you never know which guy it's going to be coming off that bench.
Tough pass. Sims.
That's 5 turnovers.
Actually 6. They turn it over twice out of the break. 6 in a row. Kentucky inside. Hope brings it out. Delk on track. Maybe 4.
And who committed the foul? Is that Bergen? That's his 3rd. Bergen on the foul. I said they ought to introduce him to number 00.
That's 4 on Bergen.
4 on Bergen, yep. So you had Mercer from one side, Delk from the other. They're really picking up the offense.
So, Tony Delk. Tony Delk with a chance for the 4-point play. Timeout called by Syracuse. We'll be right back. Jersey, Kentucky has run off 10 unanswered. And they have a chance to make it 11. Delk will head to the line. He has just tied the national championship game record with 7 made threes, tying the record of Steve Alford, set in 1987, Indiana, against Syracuse.
And Jim, for Syracuse, since Sims went down with that wrist and had to sit down, they have turned the ball over now 6 times in a row. Sims, of course, back, but we haven't seen him put the ball on the floor yet.
59-46, largest lead for Kentucky.
Almost 7. Key stretch over the next 2 minutes for Syracuse. We said loose as a goose. Now they start to tighten up.
Hill. All right, foul on Kentucky. Ball on Pope, his second.
Isn't it amazing with Rick Pitino and his substitution patterns? Now that he's got Mercer going with a hot hand, back to that mentality of the NBA again, he keeps Anderson on the bench.
So again, Kentucky has scored 11 unanswered. Lead by 13. And Wallace, Hill underneath, and he waited. He got his room, and he slams it home.
Just moved Pope out of the way, didn't he?
Pope kicks it back out. Mercer. Shepard off his foot. Zapola on the spot. Syracuse with the break. Bergen.
Beautiful hesitation by Bergen. Delk was there. Zapola almost turned over another one, Jim.
Billy, it looked like that might not work out for him.
And that was a 3-on-1 break.
59-50 Kentucky, and Pope short.
No quit in Syracuse, the same as Massachusetts last week.
Big call there because Bergen had 4 fouls, and they call a block on Shepard.
But Shepard never had position. Bergen put his head down like he was going through the line of scrimmage. Here we see Zapola. Now watch him almost turn this over. There it gets off his knee. And then a great job by Bergen on the finish. You can recover your own fumble, and that's exactly what that was. Nice soft layup there by Bergen.
All right, let's see if Bergen can handle the 1-and-1 in the second half.
This remind you a little bit, Jim, of that Massachusetts game where they would get behind and they try to make a run against Kentucky. It's not a good position to be in.
Another missed 1-and-1. Delk. Hill up high. Powerful rebound that time.
Using that wide body to clean him out.
Dribbling with that sore wrist. And Wallace slams it home. Sims with the assist, and he's shaking off the pain.
Rick Pitino won't go much longer before he thinks about a timeout. You know, McCarty's really limping out there. He is not himself.
Anderson, three-pointer. Big time. 62-52, Kentucky.
And with Mercer's hot hand, as I said, Anderson sat for a while. Now he's back in there completely rested.
Knocked out of bounds by the Wildcats. This was a really courageous play. Really working that left hand.
And the pass with the left hand, and of course he gets it to the man that can really finish in Wallace.
And was he grimacing when he came back down court? Lazara Sims, who has 6 assists. Shepard has it come back in for Kentucky. Bergen, three-pointer. He hit the big one against Mississippi State, and that's one that answers Anderson.
Absolutely. When he squares those feet up, he looks awful good on that jump shot.
He has 11 in the second half.
The key in this game for Syracuse is to stay tight as long as possible.
McCarty too strong. Anderson, 2 teammates battling.
Should have been a walk.
Shepard, three-pointer. Anderson way up. McCarty. Now a whistle. Traveling.
McCarty, Wallace getting into a little bit there. Jim, I don't know. McCarty is really having problems on that ankle. I didn't see him twisted. But even on that jump shot, when he went up, it didn't seem natural.
All right. More good sportsmanship, Billy.
And nice piece of refereeing, too. Mercer in for Anderson, who gave him a nice minute and a half. Tony Delk back on the floor.
62-55. Wildcats, 8:24 remaining.
5 seconds. Be careful.
On the line.
Mercer moving those feet defensively, and he used the sideline as the extra defender. Excellent technique. We see it right here. Sims going up. Mercer gets the feet over, you see, and there's no place to go. The sideline becomes his teammate. Excellent job.
Barely touched it with the toe. Another turnover. Walker baseliner. McCarty jumped twice, but Wallace got the rebound. Wallace low drive. Look out.
Blows by McCarty. McCarty is not physically in position to play him, and there's going to have to be a move by Pitino. McCarty can't get it done out there tonight. Wallace goes right by McCarty. As I said, the ankle seems to be giving him trouble. John Wallace puts it away.
They call it on Mercer for reaching in. John Wallace, who said, You couldn't pay me enough money for what I'm experiencing coming to this Final Four. Turned away. Chance to go into the NBA draft. First thought he was ready. Didn't sign with an agent. But he'll be back here at the Meadowlands June 26th. The NBA draft will be held right here, fittingly enough. And Wallace may have another huge night on June 26th like he's having here.
Can the freshman continue to stroke it with Delk? That may be the key for Kentucky. Talking about Mercer.
F stuck, but finds Pope. Slips out. Bergen on the save. 13-point lead has now been sliced to 4.
Hill wants it inside.
Off Wallace.
John Wallace realized he's trying to do a little bit too much too quick. He points over to Hill, but it's his fault. He's faking out there.
Antoine Walker, McCarty out, Billy.
Yeah, I think that he just can't get it done. He seems to be limping a little bit. It's not his night.
Walker on the spot.
Almost as good as a pass. Changed the press.
Hill almost traveled.
He did travel. Can't say enough about Bergen tonight, what he's doing.
Right back to Hill inside, and it just rolls off the front of the rim. Agonizingly close.
Just couldn't get it up over Walker. There you see Pope setting the screen, trying to get Mercer open. There's some bodies swinging in there now. Hill's exhausted, but he's throwing all of that 255 pounds around.
6:20 remaining. 6-point Kentucky lead.
Absolutely critical, Jim, for Syracuse to keep this tight.
Why?
And see, exactly, that's the kind of shot that'll kill you.
Sims fired it. Kentucky with the numbers. Delk baseline way short.
Oh, that was a case where Tony Delk, I think, got a piece of the arm, but it did hit off of Hill's leg. He's saying, yeah, I got hit in the arm first.
Kentucky ball.
You see it right here. Watch Tony Delk come down. See, he gets him on the arm, and then the ball hits off of Hill's leg, goes out of bounds. Kentucky ball. Zone is packed much deeper than it started out the game. See, they got the men out front are touching the foul line almost.
Walker working hard, but it doesn't drop. Hill is doing something else on the boards down there, Billy.
He is, and Reese Snyder was going to come in for him, Jim. Hill is just exhausted, but he won't give up at all, showing that same kind of moxie we saw Saturday from the kids from Massachusetts.
Look at Wallace free himself. Down to 4, 5:30 to go.
Can they ever get Kentucky to start emotionally cracking? That is the key in an upset.
Timeout, Kentucky. No one. Well, can't say no one, but almost everyone said this couldn't happen. They wouldn't be this close with 5 minutes remaining. 64-60. Kentucky and Syracuse battling for the national championship. Turnover stats.
Well, they obviously are working against Syracuse, but Jim, since that run of 6 straight turnovers, Syracuse has done much better with Sims back out on the floor, even with that wrist taped up.
McCarty's back on the floor for Kentucky. Mercer leaping leaner.
That was one of those freshman mistakes. Trying to do too much.
John Wallace has 27 points, 10 rebounds.
Screening inside. Reese Snyder setting great screens inside.
Wallace driving, and a foul on Pope. That puts Wallace to the line 1-1.
Terrific inside screening by Reese Snyder. I said Saturday, I almost think screens should be part of the stats. Terrific job on his part. Freed up Wallace.
Billy, we got another 1-1. Syracuse for the game is 0 for 4 in a 1-on-1 situation.
I'm going to go back to a game that they played. There's a good one. Go back to a game they played at Providence this year where they had the great second half free throw shooting. This team, as I said, shooting right about 71% on the year. They beat Providence. They made 19 straight in the second half.
Kentucky led 59-46 with 11 minutes to go. Since that time, 16-5 Syracuse.
Kentucky has got to get Tony Delk going again. Only 4 points in the second half. There he is.
Three-pointer. McCarty, that's a huge tip in.
Walker was on the sidelines. Was he coming in for McCarty or was he coming in for Polk?
We'll find out in a minute. But McCarty had done a good job of boxing out and had position. And a big putback. Sapola drive.
Much like Mercer's shot. Not the shot you want in this occasion.
We approach the 4-minute mark. And a 4-point game. Wildcats ahead. Derek Anderson was wide open, calling for it. Now he gets it. Looks it, fires it, hits a huge three.
They're going right to the center of that 2-3 zone and passing beautifully out of it.
69-62.
Hill in there. Reese Snyder not the offensive threat down low. They need another shooter.
3:20 remaining. 5-point Kentucky advantage. What a final it's been.
Look at how well Kentucky has taken advantage of that 2-3 zone going inside.
Epps too strong. McCarty to a teammate. Polk jumper good. McCarty outbattled 2 Orangemen on the baseline. And it amounts to 2 more for the Wildcats.
Second great offensive rebounding job by McCarty. The last one he put in himself.
Wallace beats all the pressure. And which way are we going? Charge. Anthony Epps stood his ground against the much larger foe.
Now, Jim, I said if Syracuse could stay close, maybe they could get Kentucky to crack, but the opposite has been true. Kentucky guys have met every step of the way here and met that challenge in regard to emotions. Great job by Epps. John Wallace tried to go about 80 feet there, and that's very difficult to do against a club as well skilled as Kentucky.
That's 4 on Wallace. Bergen has been saddled with 4 for a while. Anderson. Epps inside. Walker to the line. Hill on the arm.
There's that interior passing again by Kentucky. They're starting to really strip down this zone. Jim Boeheim wants a 20-second timeout.
Billy, Syracuse had cut it to 2. Now it's Kentucky 7 and heading to the line. Kentucky's last championship, 1978. Kentucky and Duke played in the final. Billy, you were there. What a performance that night by Jack Gibbons.
Jack Gibbons, who's sitting down to our left tonight. And look at the defense that was played by Duke, Jim. A 2-3 zone, and Jack Gibbons burned them. Incredible game by Jack Gibbons. 41 points on the night.
Jim Nance and Billy Packer from the Meadowlands in New Jersey. The national championship game. The heavyweight Kentucky leading by 7 against the Syracuse team that opened the year not even ranked in the top 25 and in some places not even the top 40. And here they are with 2:25 to go, playing for the crown. Walker to shoot 2. And at Kentucky, they're waiting to celebrate. This isn't over. Walker after 3 misses the lead to 8. Bergen in trouble.
That's a good hit ahead by Wallace. 10-second clock was working against him.
Bergen's done stellar work, though, having to be responsible for the backcourt tonight.
Outstanding.
Now this three from Syracuse has to have it. 1:58 remaining. 72-67.
Here was a guy in a slight slump coming into the Final Four. Having a career game.
That might have been a walk.
Kentucky wisely using a little clock here. How about Delk open in the corner? Bergen sees him.
7 on the shot clock. Delk comes in, gets it up. Hope lost it on the way up. 1 on the shot clock. Syracuse with a big hold that time. 1:20 remaining. Down 5.
Don't need to think 3 here, Jim.
Look at Delk. Sims gets it back, and Syracuse has the numbers. Hope with a reach-in steal and a foul on Wallace.
Sims tried to make the impossible pass.
That's it for Wallace. That's it.
You can see the impossible pass. Pope gets his hand out there. The young man that transferred from the University of Washington, and then he hits it ahead. John Wallace walks by us in disgust. And Jim, remember the fouls early in the game, the 3 little touch fouls he picked up, how important they were.
And after a spectacular senior season and a very powerful message that he sent to a lot of underclassmen, John Wallace has played his last game for Syracuse. He fouls out with 29 points and 10 rebounds. And Billy, there were a couple early. Didn't expect that to perhaps be a problem for Wallace by games in, but now with 1:06 remaining, Syracuse will have to go the rest of the way without its star.
Well, they have a tendency when you get some of those cheap ones, it's so tough, and you can see his mom.
Mother Vanessa. Yanulis replaces Wallace.
That's the first game that Wallace has been disqualified with fouls this entire year. And now those people in Kentucky can really start to feel it. The great support they have for their basketball team and have had for so many years.
Nope, Hope first, though. 17 fouls on Syracuse. Has a critical 1-and-1. Problem is, who will Syracuse have as its go-to guy at the other end? Hope, who was a Rhodes Scholar candidate and former Pac-10 Freshman of the Year at the University of Washington. With a salute, and Kentucky up 7 with 1:04 remaining.
Change their press a little bit. They're dropping back. It's Anderson on Bergen. You know who's the go-to guy. It's got to be Bergen.
The ball blocked. Delk, and Delk retrieves it.
Bergen is down with a cramp, Jim. Gets back up.
Foul on Yanulis. Will still be 1-and-1 at the other end, but only 43 seconds remaining. And Kentucky with a 7-point bulge.
Jim, it was 1948 and 49 with the Fab Five. Then they came along with a Fiddlin' Five in 58. All teams under Adolph Ruppel and Joe Hall's great team in 78. Here they have a chance for another one.
Delk, who was off the mark at the line Saturday, 1-and-1. Just locking down that perimeter, that Kentucky defense. Sims way outside.
Now
Kentucky ball.
Epps has a cramp, but he doesn't want to come out of the game.
He's been battling that leg cramp the whole second half.
He does not want to come out of the game. We're talking about the high school athlete of the year, and he's not coming out. He's trying to sneak his way through to the very end of this ball game.
And he's trying to hide so that the sideline doesn't see it.
Here he is running. He can hardly run.
Well, people have been saying since October 15th, when practice started, that Kentucky was the team to beat. They're 19 seconds away from claiming the crown.
Epps does not want to come out of the game. He's trying to stay on the floor.
He wants to be on the floor when that final buzzer sounds.
And when they made the move to make Epps the point guard, Rick Pitino said we went from a good team to a great team.
And Bergen has fouled out for Syracuse.
What a sensational game this young man has played.
19 points, 8 rebounds for the sophomore from Detroit.
So, Jim, Syracuse's third trip to the Final Four. Lost in 75, actually lost in the consolation game, which they had at that time, to a ball club out in San Diego. Lost both games out there.
And lost the first one out there to Kentucky.
Lost in the semifinals to Kentucky, right?
1-1 Shepherd.
And lost to Louisville in overtime.
Syracuse ball, only 16-9 remaining. And Rick Pitino about to win the championship.
They want no fouls here.
Sims to Walker. Ahead to Shepherd. There you have it. Kentucky is the king of college basketball. 2.3 seconds remaining. And they're up 9. How sweet it is.
Getting it back.
Well, Rick Pitino was born across the river in Manhattan. Said he grew up feeling profound loneliness. He was 8 years younger than his closest sibling. He dreamt day and night of sports, almost in a fantasy league of my own. He's in a league of his own tonight.
Championship trophy, Coach Rick Pitino and the University of Kentucky Wildcats.
I'd like to just say a few words. First, we'd like to congratulate tremendous heart and guts by Syracuse University. And we're a little bit like the Green Bay Packers. The entire state of Kentucky is our basketball team. Thank you all very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the NCAA, we thank you for your support of NCAA basketball and wish you a good evening.
Well, that piece of wood they call a trophy there could now become the #1 tourist attraction all of Kentucky. They can't wait to get that back down there. Haven't had one since 1978 as they sing their school songs. We'll take a break and be back in a moment. Stay with us. Wallace of Syracuse, 29 points and 10 rebounds. And Tony Delk of Kentucky had 24 points, tied an NCAA championship game record with 7 3-point field goals. Steve Alford and Dave Seeger of Oklahoma had the other ones. Now, fellas, you guys waited for a long time for your championship. What is Rick Pitino feeling right now?
I want a great congratulations to Rick Pitino. If anybody knows how he feels, Pat, it's me. And it's a great feeling for him. And certainly a calmness will come over him and help him now.
Do you just kind of go, huh, when it's over, and just the, the relief?
Well, Pat, when I looked at Rick Pitino's face as he was accepting the trophy and then talking to the crowd, I saw fulfillment. I saw pride, and I saw a guy who did a great coaching job this year in taking the most talented team in the country to its well-deserved national championship.
Well, you know when he walks out in the hallway, someone's going to say, can you repeat, right? You love that, don't you?
Absolutely.
Quinn, your take on the night, huh?
You know, you look at Syracuse. This is a team that nobody thought would be here. And, I mean, they played admirably. They played hard. They got carried. The turnovers caught them eventually. They played a team. I say it again. You talk about the Fabulous Five from Michigan. Nobody in the history of basketball has had 11, 12 players this good to play together. They're a very well-coached team, deservedly the national champions.
By the way, Tony Delk has gotten his due. He's been named the most outstanding player of the entire tournament, and well-deserved. He came up big this time. We're going to have one shining moment in a little bit here, but when we come back, we're going to hear from Jim Boeheim right after this. Stay with us. The net's down, Rick Pitino. When we come back, we'll have your shining moments.
Ball is tipped, there you are. You're running for your life, you're a shooting star. All those years, no one knows just how hard you work, but now it shows that one shining moment you reach deep inside. In one shining moment, you knew you were alive. Feel the beat of your heart, feel the wind in your face. It's more than a contest, it's more than a race. at your best, 'cause inside you knew that one shining moment you reached for the sky. One shining moment you knew. One shining moment you willing to try. One shining moment